Welcome to Fight City NYC. It has been a long time since we did a UFC episode, but this weekend we've got a huge event. It's UFC 145.
Whoa. You say UFC?
Yes.
It's time for another UFC?
Have you been down there this whole time?
That's right. I am really excited about UFC 145. It's in Atlanta. It was going to be in Montreal, but now it's moved down to Atlanta. I'm super excited.
Right, everybody's looking forward to the main event where we have John Jones versus Rashad Evans. But it's let's start first with the Danzig, Efrain, Escudero fight. We have two grapplers, former Ultimate Fighter winners, grappling for a win.
Yeah, this is kind of a rough fight for both of these guys. Danzig won the Ultimate Fighter 6. He's gone 3-5 since then. He hasn't really looked that impressive, with the exception of a nice little knockout of career freefall Joe Daddy Stevenson. I mean, he's that guy is kind of nowhere at the moment. And he's fighting Efrain Escudero, who won the Ultimate Fighter 8, who got kicked out of the UFC for missing weight in his most recent loss in the UFC. Now he's back in the UFC. You know, he's getting another chance. Presumably he knows how to cut weight this time. Really though, both of these guys need a win. Neither of these guys are going to face their greatest nemesis, which seems to be a good wrestler. Danzig's gotten laid on by the likes of Clay Guida, Jim Miller. You know, the lightweight division is really wrestler heavy, and unfortunately for Danzig, he doesn't know how to stop a takedown. He's probably not going to have to deal with too many of them from Efrain Escudero, or at least not the kind he can't handle already. Escudero also has trouble getting laid on. He's not a strong wrestler. These guys are some good grapplers, though. I mean, I hopefully we'll see some good scrambles, some good transitions from positions, but you know, or I mean, you get the other thing that you get when you have two grapplers fight, a shitty kickboxing match. So whatever happens, Danzig needs to win this fight, or he needs to look for another job.
And then let's move on and let's talk about the showdown between the Canadians. We have Bocek versus John Alessio.
Yeah, Bocek, he's a great Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu specialist. You know, he trains with this obscure welterweight named Georges St. Pierre. I don't know.
Never heard of
it. Doesn't ring a bell. And he also is the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu instructor for the president of the UFC, Dana White, who I guess just got him into the mixed martial arts thing. You know, a little bit. It's good. It's who you know, really. It's really who you know. Mm-hmm. So Bocek, he's better than his record indicates. I mean, he's 6-4 in the UFC. That's not an impressive number, but two of his losses come to Benson Henderson, the current champion of the lightweight division, and Jim Miller, who's, you know, maybe one win away from fighting for the lightweight title. So, you know, he's fought top flight competition, and he's looked really good in his wins. I mean, he tapped out Dustin Hazlett. That's got to get you to take a guy seriously. Period. He's fighting John Alessio. Alessio's really, he's been around forever. He's got like 48 fights under his belt. He's won a good number of them, but none of them in the UFC. I mean, he's 0-3 in the UFC. That he keeps. This is actually his fourth stint in the UFC. You know, Alessio's pretty well-rounded. I think he's definitely got the striking advantage over Bocek. But if this fight goes to the ground, then I think it's going to be all over for Alessio. I mean, Bocek's been working on his wrestling. He, you know, he just out-wrestled Nick Lentz in his last fight. Lentz is no slaps on the ground, but I really look forward to seeing what Bocek's grappling looks like in this fight.
And then we have Hominick versus Eddie Yagin, two featherweights coming off losses, looking for a win.
Yeah. Hominick, you know, he's a top flight featherweight. He unfortunately got knocked out in 7 seconds by the Korean Zombie in his last fight out, and that was after getting just chewed apart by Jose Aldo for 5 rounds. So Hominick's actually on a losing streak, which sounds bizarre because he's really put together a great run in the WC and the UFC, but not as of late. He's just he's a cardio machine. He's a grinder, ground and pound guy who, you know, I mean, even in the 5th round of the Jose Aldo fight, he really, you know, he put something together. It was way too little, way too late against a guy with the flu who was fighting, you know, for 25 minutes. So, you know, if Eddie Yagin can at least can pull himself together as much as a dude with the flu in the 5th round of a fight, you know, he's got a chance. But Yagin didn't look all that impressive in his fight against Junior Asuncao. It was, you know, his UFC debut, and he didn't know what to do with a wrestler on top of him. You know, Asuncao really didn't try to go to finish the fight at all. He was content to just lay there. And Asuncao, you know, he grabbed onto a guillotine every time he went down, but you know, he didn't land one. Now, Hominick's, he's not perfect. He's been choked out plenty of times before. Never to a guillotine, but that might be Yagin's best bet. As for Hominick, I think if he can avoid the choke on the way down, he's just going to pound out Yagin. It really doesn't look that great for Yagin, but we'll see,
Mm-hmm. And then we have Miguel Torres versus one of my favorite singers, Michael McDonald.
Yeah, no. Miguel Torres, he's a legend in the bantamweight division. He started his career 37-1. I mean, that's nuts. He held the title for years, I think, and he's fallen on some tough times. Actually, he's 3-3 in his last 6 fights. He's since he got knocked out to lose the championship title by Brian Bowles. He's really changed his style up. He's got a huge reach advantage over everybody in the division, so he just sort of hides behind his jab and uses his footwork to circle away. He's not the hyper-aggressive Miguel Torres we saw just, chainsaw through the division.
So they put him up against a kid then?
Yeah. Michael McDonald was born in 1991.
He probably doesn't know who Michael McDonald is.
No, I don't think he has any idea. So despite the fact that, 1991... McDonald's been fighting for 4 years, the fighter, not the singer. I don't know the singer, but the fighter's been fighting for 4 years now. He's got like 15 fights under his belt, so it's a good amount of experience, but not compared to Torres' 40-something fights. Michael McDonald, he's just a rising prospect in this division. He is aggressive, he's got knockout power, he really pushes the pace of the fight. And he uses a good variety of techniques too. I think that Miguel Torres is really going to have to use that jab to keep the kid at a distance. He really doesn't want any part of McDonald in the clinch. But I think the equalizer that Torres has, apart from his advanced age and sweet mullet, is the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I mean, Michael McDonald, he's good on the ground. He's a good grappler. He's very well-rounded. But Miguel Torres' Jiu-Jitsu, he's dangerous from on top. He's dangerous from his back. McDonald's really going to have to watch Miguel Torres. But either way, it's the redemption of a former champion or it's the rise of a new prospect. This fight, it's a win-win for the fans.
I hope Michael McDonald comes out to Michael McDonald.
It's slim chances. Licensing to pitch.
I can hope. Next up, we have another McDonald, no relation, Rory McDonald, the future of the welterweight division versus a guy who's looking for a future, Che Mills.
Yeah, Rory McDonald, according to that Mr. Georges St. Pierre, is the future of the welterweight division. And when it comes to welterweight division, GSP, he knows a little bit. So Rory McDonald, he's a guy to keep your eye on, according to George St. Pierre. What can you say? I mean, he's 14-1. His only defeat is to Carlos Condit, who again is he's also fighting for the championship against George St. Pierre. So. Actually, McDonald was ahead on the cards in that fight and was TKO'd with like 7 seconds left. So he's almost 15-0. Almost 15-0. He's just really well-rounded. He's great on his feet. He's great in the clinch. He's great on the ground. Both of the McDonalds that are fighting really well-rounded fighters. McDonald has shown that he belongs against top-flight competition. He's just sort of biding his time until he really gets a shot against George St. Pierre.
Where does Che Mills belong?
I have no idea. Not against Rory McDonald. This is terrible. I feel really bad. Che Mills, he looked good in his UFC debut. It lasted all of 40 seconds, and that could be a good sign that
he's fresh.
Yeah, he's very fresh. He's very well rested. 40 seconds of fighting in the last few months. Maybe this means he'll blow through Rory McDonald like he's nothing to. Probably not. Che Mills, being British, that means I have to make fun of him for being bad at wrestling. I really haven't seen him fight for, again, more than 40 seconds. So, maybe his wrestling's really good. Maybe he'll stay off his back, and maybe Rory McDonald won't pound him into a fine mist on the mat. But I think that's pretty much what's going to happen. So, let's see how Che Mills fares.
Okay, and then we have the big enchilada, the main event, the one that everybody has been looking for. We have John Bones Jones versus Sugar Rashad Evans. And these guys have some common opponents, including the last guy that Jones beat, Machida.
Yeah, Lyoto Machida. Both of these guys have fought Lyoto Machida. Rashad lost his belt to Machida, then Machida lost his belt to the guy that Jones took the belt from, whatever. And then Jones, in his last fight, just beat the living daylights out of Machida. I mean, elbowed him, just opened up a huge cut on the ground, choked him out, dropped him like a sack of potatoes, had the cool, badass, slow motion walking away from the opponent's down body. It was, really cool looking submission. But so both of these guys, a few common opponents, and I have to say John Jones just looked more impressive against them. John Jones, finished Rampage Jackson. He finished Machida. Evans couldn't even survive against Machida, and Evans took Rampage to decision. Rampage, the A-Team movie star, not really Rampage the fighter, but you take what you get, right? So. Jones is just a master of this weird, unorthodox stand-up style. The spinning elbows to set up the takedown, and these, flying knees into the weird clinch with the takedowns and he's just rangy as hell. He's got this huge reach. He throws jabs from another zip code, and his leg kicks are just as rangy. It gives everyone fits. Machida seemed to sort of decipher how to get by that. I mean, Jones isn't perfect. He drops his left hand when he throws his right. He hangs his chin when he throws leg kicks. Machida took advantage of that repeatedly in the first round of that fight. Machida couldn't really capitalize on it. Jones remembered he could wrestle and then took Machida down and elbowed him in the face a few times.
But can Evans take advantage of those?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, Evans did win a couple of striking exchanges in the fight with Machida. I mean, it wasn't one-sided when Evans fought Machida. I mean, Evans did end up getting knocked out. But, Evans has a lot of hand speed. He's got a lot of foot speed. He's just a lightning fast guy. He's a smaller light heavyweight. So, he's going to have to use his speed to his advantage. But he's got knockout power. I mean, he, knocked Chuck Liddell into retirement, or should have. He's knocked out, or he TKO'd Forrest Griffin, who's got a, really solid chin. The guy takes a lot of punishment. So Rashad Evans has knockout power, and, Jones is going to have to watch himself. I think Evans hits harder than Machida does. I think that if Evans can land a good shot, it's going to hurt a lot more than Machida hurt him.
Okay, let's talk game plans then.
Well, yeah, I mean, given that Evans can end the fight with a single punch, John Jones wants to use his range. He wants to stay far back. He wants to stay away. He wants to keep that hand out in Evans' face the way he did to Rampage and completely shut down Rampage's game. So keep the jab out, use the leg kick to control the distance, and Evans is going to get frustrated. Evans is going to realize that he's got like an extra, 4 feet of distance to cover from his usual fights, and he's going to charge in. And when Evans comes in, grab him, take him down, and work the ground and pound. I mean, if John Jones can actually hold Rashad Evans on the ground, which is something that not an awful lot of people have ever done, if he can hold Rashad Evans down and just pin him on the ground, then you can work the ground and pound. And John Jones has deadly ground and pound. I mean, he's broken orbital bones. He, broke Matt Hamill's shoulder on the takedown and got disqualified for the elbow. I mean, John Jones knows how to end dudes on the ground. So Rashad's got to stay away from the ground. He's really, Rashad Evans really just needs to follow the Machida game plan. Like I said, Rashad, counter that leg kick. Machida had great success, coming forward with a good right hand over the top of a leg kick. When Jones goes for those unorthodox strikes, grab him and drag him to the ground. I mean, no one's taken John Jones to the ground in the UFC. He's defended every single takedown attempt. So if Evans can put Jones on his back, then I don't know how much Jones trains off of his back. I don't know how much Rashad Evans really, nobody knows how much Jones can handle off of his back. So that might be an area where Evans, the veteran, can really take advantage of John Jones.
Okay, so we got Jones versus Evans this Saturday. It's on pay-per-view. Tune in to watch, and thanks for tuning in to Watch Fight City NYC. Thank you, Dominic.
Thank you.